Easy. Hello, and thank you for joining me here at Real AM Bully Talk. My name is Cameron Diabas, and they're probably over there questioning yourself whether or not I have a bully. And you hear my bully barking? Well, EO told me I have a budget bully. I mean, she's got a freaking ferocious growl and shit. But I'm like, I still love her. But you know what my thing is I really want to highlight those top breeders out there in Washington, California, Oregon, Idaho, and Arizona. I know that there's a lot of up-and-coming kennels, those ones that are in the pillar of the bully community that have so much expertise to offer. We want to really be able to have a community that fosters support instead of bashing and knocking people down. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this. Without further ado, let's get on to the episode. Hello, and thank you for stopping by with our American Bully podcast. My name is Cameron Diabas, and I have with me one of the outstanding bully breeders in Washington, and it's Nicole Dryden with Forever20 Bullies. And I've watched her from afar, not as a Facebook stalker or anything like that, but I went to the bully show, I watched her, and she carries herself with such professionalism. You watch how she treats people on Facebook. She's always building people up. And as I mentioned in one of my Facebook posts, you know what? I'm looking for people that foster the bully community, support one another, because if you're not supporting one another, you will never be on this podcast. So without any further delay, I just kind of we're going to learn about Nicole's story, and Nicole's going to give us why and what fuels her passion for American bullies and her background. So without any other delay, Nicole, it's all you.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm so honored. I'm one of those people. I tend to be a little bit on the quieter side until I get to know folks, and so for us, we just really love the breed, and we enjoy making connections with people, and so. To be here, I was flabbergasted when I started getting shout outs from, Big John at Big Dog Bully Kennels, and amazing person, him and his wife. And I didn't even, know that people were watching me, right? We just kind of do our thing. It's a big family thing for us. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what else you got for us. Let's talk to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm like ready
I
to
am
get my
too.
popcorn, and I'm ready to just kind of
Right.
like a nail biter here.
Awesome. Well, no, thank you so much. And you had asked me the question, what got us started with the American Bullies, and what our background was, and what fueled us to really pursue this. And it really comes back to one, we've always had a huge love as a family as a whole. Ever since I was a kid, we've always loved the bully breeds. Everything from pit bulls to bulldogs, and everything in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had a really good childhood. We had, I mean, animals all the time. We bred various dogs. We did not start breeding bullies until later on. But we bred Rottweilers, we had pugs for a while. We've had kind of a little bit of everything, goats, horses, you name it. Grew up in a really small town, but our first bully really as a family was actually a bully that my brother, his name's Eddie, and he was 16 years old. He had been begging my mom. He really wanted, at the time, bullies were still very new, and so this was many years ago, and so it was the blue nose, right? So he
Mm-hmm. Right.
wanted a big blue nose, bully. And so we took him out. We found a place. My mom did. I'm the oldest of multiple children. We have
Uh-huh.
a huge
Right.
family. My brother was the only boy in a house full of all girls. So poor kid. So my mom thought, okay, we looked, and we found a breeder that she liked, and so for his 16th birthday, we went and took him, and he got to pick out his bully. His name was Stash, or Stash Bandicoot is what we named him. So I helped
Right.
him name the dog, and unfortunately, Eddie passed away at the age of 20, actually on June 5th of
Wow.
2011. So, I know that this is going to be coming out around that time. So that's another reason why I'm so honored to be here. I think the
Right.
timing just lines up. So,
Yeah, things happen
um,
for a reason, you know what I
exactly,
mean? So,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
So, Eddie had passed away, and at the time, I wasn't really in the best place to take the dog, to take
of
Stash.
course.
I wasn't, and so we decided he had a really good friend, and so Colby loved Stash, and so we thought, okay, we felt like it was important, that the dog stay, in that group. He had a big group of friends, and so Colby ended up taking Stash.
Okay.
And later on, as I got older, settled and grew up a little bit.
Mhm.
um,
Exactly.
we did some fostering
Mhm.
of dogs. My mom would have dogs at her house. I would foster dogs at my house. I had at that point, my in-house my first personal bully was actually a rescue named Lucky.
Okay.
He was an old English bulldog.
Mhm.
So had him until geez, we had him for years. Unfortunately, he developed some cancer on his spine, and so we had to make the decision to
Oh.
to put him down. It was the best thing for him. He was a amazing dog, great with my kids, just
Mhm.
great dog. So someday my kids keep asking me, "Can we get another one like Lucky?" And I'm like, "Someday, right?" But now that
Yeah,
I'm in it, I want to find, the right breeder I want to get one I know
yes.
is healthy. So,
Gotcha. I got you. I'm with
yeah.
you.
So, years later, my mom actually, she had really fallen in love with the exotic bullies. And, again, we took our time, really wanted to find something that we wanted. And again, going back to that, we love the blues as a family, right?
Right.
The blue dogs.
Uh-huh.
And so she was very particular on what
Of
she
course.
wanted.
Of course.
So we ended up finding Nala, who
No.
is actually our foundation exotic female.
Okay.
Um, she has an amazing line, which we didn't even know at the time, right? Like we were new to this, we had no idea. And so once we started it wasn't until we bred her that then we're like looking at the lineage, she's totally registered, totally legit, all that stuff. But then we're
Mhm.
like, oh, who's this Miyagi dog? And who's this
Right.
dog? And, it just,
Right?
you don't know. So we purchased Nala. My mom purchased Nala, and later on, we did a breeding when she was, a couple years old. We had actually gotten in contact with Max Clark of Nomad Bullies,
Right.
and
Right.
everybody just loves Nala. I mean, she looks, I mean, she's the female version of Miyagi. She's a little on the,
Right.
smaller, so she's not as mass, but the face, as soon as
But
you
the
see her, you're
face.
like,
Right.
you know exactly where she comes from.
You just know, right? So
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. So we did that first breeding with Max's dog at the time. Is Thorn City Bullies, Bosley
Mhm.
von Hefner. He had gotten the dog from Zach Williams at Thorn City, and we did that breeding. Unfortunately, we ended up with just a singleton pup out of that first litter
Oh,
that we did,
oh, okay.
which was a little disheartening.
Yeah, a little
Just not
disappointing
disheartening,
and
but disappointing,
disheartening all at the
right?
same
Like
time. Right.
exactly, right? Like you kind of have these expectations, I think, especially when you're new, right, to this breed, you have a certain expectation.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't happen, right, you're kind of like, okay, then you got to reassess and go,
Yes.
what's going on?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So we knew that we wanted to keep the line,
Uh-huh.
Nala's line, for sure. And Bosley
Right.
also has a really great, bloodline. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
really amazing dogs in his line as well. And so we knew that, we wanted to keep the line within the family. And so I ended up purchasing that puppy from my parents, and he became Mr. Stashpot Von Hefner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
it was important to, one, if I was going to start this journey, that, I wanted to bring it back to our roots, was, with the OG Stash, my brother's
Right.
dog. And then, there's Miyagi in the line, there's Cashpot, there's Razor's Edge. And so I just kind of
Right.
did a play on like, where does he come from? And, where do we come from? Right. So,
Right.
I think initially it was just kind of like, okay, he was just, and he is a beautiful, beautiful dog.
Right.
And so Max Clark, he quickly became family, and he
Right.
was like, you got to start showing this dog, like,
Right.
he's beautiful, you got to start showing him.
Right.
And so, when he was what, 4 months old, I started, breeding was familiar to me. It
Uh-huh.
was the showing that
The
was new.
showing, it was a little bit off. So you
Yeah.
started hitting all the shows and
Hmm.
getting
Yeah.
that knowledge and that
Yeah.
experience, so oh
Right.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm a few years in, right? I'm going on a few years, showing, but even for me, and that's why again I'm so honored to be here, is because I don't, like, I learn every day. And I think even for me, I could probably be, 10 years into this and still feel like, I'm learning and I'm growing every day.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So once we had Mr. Stash,
Yeah, right.
I was hooked, right? And from then on, it was like, okay, I had decided, my parents were still kind of like, they just wanted Nala, and they just wanted,
Right,
they
right.
they love their girl. But it was like, okay, for
Exactly.
me, I was like, man, I really want to do this, and
Mhm.
I'm feisty as all hell, so. Uh,
Right.
started putting things together, finessing our logo. I actually, I think the first time I debuted my logo, it was different. It was
Uh-huh.
it was just the grenade.
Right.
I started really just working with and reaching out to, other kennels and other breeders,
Mhm.
people who showed, right? It's not just about breeding for us, it's also about showing, right? And just to be able to be out there and, showcase our dogs and, build those relationships, it's huge for us. So I did know immediately that, we wanted to be Forever 20 Bullies. That's what's on my brother's memorial. It's,
Mhm.
he's Forever 20 to us. So, it's interesting. A lot of people, we had a lot of family and some of his friends and stuff that, they all got, tattoos after he passed or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And, that Forever 20 is in a lot of those, tattoos and memorial pieces
Yes.
for him. So,
Mhm.
and even our logo, is actually a play on, my brother. He had, one tattoo. Of course, it was the biggest tattoo he could get at
Of
Tattoo
course,
Expo in
right?
Portland. He was like, he had just turned 18, and he calls me up because I've got plenty of tattoos myself, and
Yeah.
my brother calls me up and just, sis, you're never gonna believe this, right? And he's like, check this out, and he sends me this photo on his cell phone, and I'm like, dear Lord, I mean, this thing is from his nipple all the way down to his, his hip, and I'm like.
Right.
I was like, "How did that feel?" And he's like, "Oh, it hurt like a son of a bitch." I'm like, "I bet it
Right.
did. Like, I could have told you that. I mean, it's clear down here." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Good Lord, kid." But my family, we don't half-ass anything. If we're doing it, we're going all in, right? So his tattoo was a giant grenade in flames, and
Right.
you know, we decided with our logo, or I decided with the logo at the time, we've got the grenade,
Mhm.
and instead of in flames, I decided to surround it in roses because I really wanted to display that, even when things can be so chaotic, or, part of life is loss and these tragic experiences, but if you can take that and really build something and grow something beautiful out of that. And so
True.
we put the roses on, and then, because I'm me, I threw, my silhouette in there because I'm representing for him.
Right, right. So it's
And then
got
we
a
got the
lot of,
bullies.
like,
So
symbolism, like, a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of which is just amazing. I mean, I looked at it and I posted it today, this morning, and I'm just like, you get a chance to really hear explain it and then
Hmm.
to look at it, and then it all
Right.
comes together and it
Yeah.
feels really good, you know what I
Right.
mean?
And there's so many, I've had so many folks, oh, and I know it's not ill intended, right? But they'll be like, "Oh, you should update." And I'm like, and then maybe someday I will, right? But for now, it's the simplistic and it's the meaning behind it is what
Yes,
matters to us. And
yes.
so, I love seeing other people's logos and stuff, but we're, like I said, big about roots and family, and it's important to us. And like I said, maybe someday I'll change it up a bit or
Yeah,
update it, but for now
whatever.
it's
It reminds
beautiful.
you of where you came from,
Yeah.
what started it
Yeah.
all at the end of the day. So
Exactly.
you don't need to change anything. I mean,
Right.
you're your own queen and your family's your own kingdom. So you
Right.
do whatever you
Yeah.
want to do, and you can't really let other people
Right.
dictate.
Yeah.
You'll have your advisors, like Max
Sure.
Clark and Zach Williams, that are going
Yep.
to give you the good advice, and you're going to take that and just keep venturing
Mhm.
on, and
Yep.
that's, yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do,
Yep. And
right?
I respect it, right? Like I love seeing what, you know, everybody else does, but I think what really, hits home for me is, this years later, this was at a show last year. We grew up in a fairly small town,
Right.
Columbia County, Oregon. It's fairly small. It's a lot bigger now because
Hmm.
a lot of Portland folks are kind of, migrating that way.
Right. Right.
Uh but we'll meet people. We were at a show, and my mom, she's my parents always go to support, and I love that, right? and
Right.
and my mom's real, open and real friendly and stuff, and so she's talking to somebody, and I thought the girl looked familiar, and my mom's like, "Oh, hey, this is so and so, they're from St. Helens too." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So her and I, sparked up a friendship, and I
Right.
realized, I was like, "Oh, we know a lot of the same people," and it did not even click with me because she's the same age as my brother, and they have a dog who's also named Stash, a bully.
Right.
And I had posted up a memorial I do every year for my brother with him and
Right.
and the OG Stash, and she messaged me and she said, "Oh my God, is that the OG Stash?" And I said, "Yeah," and she goes, "That's why we named our dog Stash." She's like, "That's Stash Bandicoot." She goes, "I know that dog." She's like, "I grew up with him, and and so, you're talking 10 years later.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's the
Such a
impact,
small
right?
world, and but
Exactly.
we're never.
Yeah.
I swear, that it's just that
Yeah.
eighth of a degree off, and we are
Right.
all linked
Yeah.
somehow.
Somehow.
So
Yeah. And
it's
that
amazing.
type of stuff that, that really brings it home for me on like why we do what we do. My brother was, such an amazing kid, and, to hear people, that you would never even think, like, I would have never known that had we not been at a bully show, right? And just
Right.
randomly sparked up a conversation, and it was just like, you know,
It
um, yeah,
true.
yeah.
Very, very true.
So,
So
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
So what else? What are, like, upcoming litters? Like,
yeah,
available pups? What
yeah.
what do you got going on that front?
So for us, so we've got 9 bullies. So my
Mhm.
my parents, after I really started doing stuff, they were like, "Hey," of course they, see what we're doing, and they're going to the show, so they want to get involved.
Right. Right.
So we got 9 bullies between my house and their house.
W w
So we've got Nala, our foundation female. We've got Mr. Stashbot. That's
Uh-huh.
what I consider my
Right.
foundation male.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up purchasing Malice from Max Clark. He's off, or
Right.
she is off of the Easy and Rosa litter.
Right. Right.
I ended up getting another female Calypso. She's off of Hunter K and a dog named Boom. And then we ended up doing another litter with Nala and Grand Champion Nipsey, and so my parents kept a male out of that. His name's Fat Cash.
Fat cash.
Fat Cash, yep, little exotic boy. He's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got my parents then purchased Lil Stella. She's off of Champion Lil Oso and Lily from
And
Blessed Out
Lily.
Bullies out of California.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I had an in-house litter with Stash and Malice, and so then we ended up we were only going to keep one. Of course, we had 12 in the litter, so we were like, oh, we're just going to keep one. Day one, I had a female. I was like, this is my girl, named Lorena Rosa. And then of course we fell in love with Mr. Brownie, or Mr. Motomoto. We call him Brownie.
Uh-huh.
So we kept him. So I got two here, and then we ended up getting Zazzy, a beautiful little Frenchie off of Taz and Tizzy litter from
Okay.
Cash Flow Kennels. So we actually won her in
God.
a raffle. We had
Okay. Okay.
me, my mom, two of my sisters. We were all on there buying raffle tickets because my mom's like, I want that damn Frenchie. So we're all on there, pulling freaking numbers. So anyway, we've got some stuff coming up. I think biggest thing is we don't like to, make these big announcements until we've got confirmations.
Totally. Totally.
We got 3 females going into heat all at the same time. We got Stella, Malice, and Calypso. So we'll be breeding all 3. The plan is to breed all 3 in July. Knock on wood. So
Yes,
we're hoping
exactly.
fall,
Fingers
winter's going to be,
crossed.
yeah,
Yep.
busy for us.
Definitely. Gotta do it.
Yeah, so we've got some what we think are some really amazing pairings happening with all 3 females. So again, we'll have the big announcements
Yep.
out once we've got
Yep.
confirmations with folks, and I'm an executive level professional in my day-to-day career, so
Uh-huh.
I carry that in my business and in my personal dealings with the bully community too. So
Yeah.
we plan way ahead. We plan ahead, and we're want to be careful about not jumping the gun too quick. So
Yes, exactly. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I totally get it.
right.
I do. And you know the thing I love too is how
Hmm.
your daughters and your family is so involved,
Yeah,
and it really shows that family unit
yeah,
thing really truly exists,
right.
where your daughters, I mean, I remember the bully show that I went to was the one in Chehalis.
Oh
I think it
yeah,
was the last one, like in
that
April
was a
or
good
March
one.
or April or whatever. Oh yeah. And and your daughters are showing, and I just like the excitement in their faces. And
Yeah,
like I said, it was the first bully show that I ever went to. And the reason I went to it
right.
was that, what I had supposedly bought a bully,
Hmm.
and it really just kind of didn't turn out the way I wanted it to,
Right,
but I wanted to see if where she compared to the others,
right.
and then I mean, and it was I was like, gosh, she's not that much smaller, but she's lacking in mass and whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? I still love her. Am I gonna
Hmm.
take her to the pound or rehome her? No, that'd be
No.
like rehoming one of our kids
Oh, right.
that didn't do what we wanted to do. Didn't do your
Right.
homework, you're getting rehomed. You know
Yep.
what? So, but the reason I'm doing the podcast not only is just that,
Right.
really highlight breeders such as yourself that really do the right thing
Mm.
without being with just under the radar, right?
Right.
And the other reason I did it is because I eventually want to be a breeder. Am I going to be a breeder tomorrow? No. A year
Right.
from now, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm using this podcast, and what I get out of this is I'm building relationships one
Mhm.
person at a time, and I'm learning about the breed, you know,
Right.
and to really determine
Mhm.
what I really want.
Yep.
I'm like, God, I don't want a Frenchie. Nothing against them. I just don't want that.
Right.
Do I want an XL or a 2XL?
Mhm.
Probably not. I mean, they're a little
Right.
too big for me, you know? I'm gonna be somewhere in the middle, I don't know
Yeah.
yet. I haven't
Right.
got there.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of a little bit about me. And
Oh, I love it.
what about people? Obviously, shout outs. I know you mentioned Max
Yeah.
Clark. I mentioned Zach Williams, and there's some others.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
who do you want to recognize?
You know, there are so many amazing people part of this community, right? And people that you would never think like, to talk to or to approach or whatever, and so there are a lot of great people. I think, specifically, I've got a little list here.
Uh huh.
And some I've done, business with, some I haven't, right? Or some that I
Right.
know from whatever. But my day one guy, like I said, Max Clark of Nomad Bullies. I mean, he's family now. He's getting a
Uh
wedding
huh.
invite, so
Yeah. Right. That's right. You're getting
yeah,
married. That's
right, yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. So we've got yeah, actually, poor Jared. We're getting married, and I'm like, oh, we're doing 2-3 breedings in July, so we're delaying the honeymoon because we're gonna be having puppies
Right.
like right after we get married. I'm like, you're stuck with me now. But no, he's super
Exactly. There
super
you go.
supportive.
And he
So
sounds super supportive,
yeah,
and
he
he
is.
wants to,
Yeah,
take a step back because, like we had
right.
mentioned before,
Yeah,
the bully world isn't easy. And
right.
a lot of
Exactly.
times the
Yeah,
female breeders kind of get pushed to the side or people don't take
right.
them seriously.
Yeah,
It's not like we were raised that way. It's just kind of weird how
right.
that happens.
Yeah.
And he's one that, from what I understand, is he kind
Hmm.
of keep pushing you to the
Yeah.
front. Not like
Yeah.
you need to be pushed to the front, but he's
Yeah.
making it known this is your game and this is
Yep.
what you do. So,
Yeah. And I
wow.
love it. So, I think as far as other folks specifically, giving shout outs, for sure, I'm sure this, name's going to come up a lot. You got Bobby Schmidt,
Hmm.
and Sean Weckers. They have Northwest Finest bullies. Those two, they really are huge contributors to the community. They're
Right.
so supportive. They've got some amazing things happening. Bobby also runs the Pacific Northwest Canine Reproductive
Uh huh.
Services. She shows out for the community so much and the dogs. I mean, people can call her 1 o'clock I mean, she was down in a show and someone needed, a C-section. Dog went into labor early. And as far as I know, I mean, she drove 5 hours and said, okay, I'll meet you there at, 2 a.m. Like, that's the kind of
Wow.
stuff, right? Like, so you're probably going to hear
Yeah.
Bobby's name a lot. I mean, that
Oh,
that
I
woman is
have, and I
amazing.
think
Yeah.
Bobby Smith lives pretty close by
Yeah.
where I'm at,
Okay.
and it's just
Cool.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
when you hear the story,
Yeah.
and it's not the first time
Right.
that I've heard her name
Yeah.
pop up.
No,
Yeah, more
she's
than once.
she's great, man. And then I've got I really want to give a shout out to Christy Leon Garcia of Rose City Exotics. And
Hmm.
she also does Rose City Canine Reproductive Services.
Okay.
She's great. Again, she's always available for services, reproductive services,
Hmm.
progesterone tests, all that stuff. She's great. And if she is not available, she's like, hey, here's, she'll get you in contact with some other folks that are in the area. She's great. They got beautiful dogs. Her and her family, same thing. Her husband's super supportive of her, but she just does her thing, and I love that. So,
Yes.
then I'd like to give a shout out to Corianne Ulrich of Sinister Bully Kennels.
Okay.
She's also an amazing photographer, and she does photos under Sinister Imaging. She's a great producer. She's got a dog. I can't remember if he's grand champion or champion, so please don't hurt me.
Right.
But his name's Kane. A beautiful dog. She's a great producer. She's super informative. And she's always working to educate folks. If we're out at a show and someone's struggling, maintaining their dog or they don't have the right lead, like, she's one of the first folks that'll be like, hey, try this out. And she's always trying to be helpful. And I think, again, as a woman, I can't tell you how many times I've seen dudes look at her like, who the fuck are you talking to, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she's been doing this a long time. She knows her stuff, and
yes,
she's a great trainer. She's done a couple of photos of a couple of my dogs for me, but outside of that, I mean, she's a great producer. She does
yes.
beautiful photos, and she just wants to help the community. Like she really does. So she's awesome. We've got Jordan Gill and her husband of Cashflow Kennels. Beautiful family, beautiful dogs. They make show leads and other
Mm,
merchandise. All of our show leads come from them.
good.
Great, great stuff. They do custom stuff, and I know there's a lot of other folks too, but I love what they do. And they've got everything from XLs to Frenchies, so
Yeah,
they got
right.
the
Got
variety.
to have a little bit of everything for
Exactly.
everybody. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Exactly.
So a couple other folks I want to throw out there. I got Lonnie Smith of Perfect Fit Bullies.
Mm-hmm.
He has got some great dogs. And him and his wife, they also run a training program.
Uh-huh.
And so they've got some great stuff over there. Lonnie's one of the first couple shows I was at, like just so friendly and so supportive. I mean, he's the first one to see him, you get this big smile, and he's, hey
Right.
girl, how's it go? I love Lonnie. He's amazing. And he's so supportive. And then I've got TJ Hansen of Timeless Bullies. Again, great program. I absolutely adore that man's family. He's got a bunch of girls too, and
Uh-huh.
they're all about the same ages as my girls. And
Okay.
so, man, his girls, man, they go out there and they show up and they
They
show
get
out, man. I
after it.
love it. Like,
Yeah,
you got these
right.
little girls out there, and they go whoop it sometimes, and you're like, hell yeah. So his kids, and his kids are his world. Him and his girl, they've got, again, great program. I think they have a tattoo shop as well. But yeah, he's awesome. So I know we've got, some great shows coming up. There's a few things happening, so I put them all in timeline here.
Uh-huh.
So I
Yep.
know Furman Figueroa is doing the Idaho's Biggest Bully Dog Show June
Yeah.
3rd. That one's out in Idaho. Unfortunately, I've got family coming out, so
Oh,
I'm not able
right.
to make it. But definitely, he does a show every year. Amazing. From what I've heard, amazing. They
Good.
put on a good show. So definitely anyone, check that out. Next year, like I said, he does it every year. So
Right.
we got the Northwest Bully Commission, the Pull Up or Shut Up Show, June 8th.
Yep.
That one's coming up in Tacoma. That one for sure. Check it out. I'm gonna try to be there again. I got a lot going
Yeah.
on. So, but for other folks, definitely it's gonna be huge. So you don't want
Yeah.
to miss it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna go to that one, and I know
Yeah.
that they have Bully Bash 4 up in
Yep.
Leavenworth or
Yep. They got
whatever.
that one
That
coming.
one's
That's what.
coming
Yep.
up as
With.
well, and there's some
Yep.
other ones in there. So,
Yeah.
but I know that we'll
Hmm.
put those in the show notes, so people
Nice.
that wanna see
Okay.
what else is coming up will be able to
Perfect.
look at it. They can go on to
Perfect.
realambullytalk.com, and I'll have a listing of all of those as well, so
Cool.
people know where to find that information. They'll be able to find it on Facebook and all of that. So,
Okay.
I really want to thank you again. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing your insight with us. I think people are really gonna be embrace it,
Yeah.
and I that's what this is about at the
Right.
end of the day,
Yeah.
Um, so until then, we'll meet, our paths will cross
Yeah.
again when we have some bully shows, and all the subscribers out there, the listeners out there, definitely, if you like it, look for the subscribe button
Yep.
somewhere. I mean, I have to have my podcast production crew put it where we can find it.
Right.
Hint, hint, and we'll go from there. But again, Nicole,
Awesome.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, this real quick, I got one more person
Uh-huh.
I gotta
Okay.
shout out just because I was hoping it would have been out by now. There is a local Portland artist by the name of Jess Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a new couple of new videos and some new music coming out with
Okay.
special guests Stash and Cash from our kennel.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely, looking forward to that. He does some great collaborations with some other, artists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, definitely when that comes out, check him out. He's got some great music. Even, my oldest, who's usually a country fan, was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I really like this," She's like,
Right.
"I'm getting into rap now." I'm like, "Oh, great, here we
Right.
go." So yeah, definitely check that out. But
Definitely.
yeah,
Will do.
so
Will do.
cool.
Until then, don't bully my bully, right? So
Yes,
have a good
sir.
one. Take care. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Cameron.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.